So the main story that is revealed in season 3 is the love and the passion that exists between Jonas and Martha, and now that there are two worlds that are entangled in a knot. And later, of course, we'll learn there was a third world. That knot is held together by the fact that they cannot exist together. Because of one world, for everyone else to survive, Martha must perish. She is considered to be a savior, or someone who creates that ability for hope once she dies. The hope that has been lost, the revelation that Jonas and Martha cannot exist together after 2019, is found again in episode 5, when the new Martha, who is the fixer in her world, whereas Jonas is the fixer in this, they fall on the realization that they are able to exist in the second world, which reintroduces hope, however difficult to acquire, because although they appear exactly the same, they are still very different people who must somehow find the love for each other. And when they finally do, it is a huge payoff. This was extraordinarily well done and very satisfying in a completely surprising way. Martha takes Jonas to 2052 and reveals that this is the knot that ties the two worlds together. Martha proceeds to abandon Jonas and wakes up in November 2019. This part of the story is confusing because it could be one of the two different Marthas. You never know, but it's quickly fixed. That part is quickly fixed. Magnus is having a love affair of his own, and Martha reiterates how the father is not good company, nor is he welcomed by the family, as indicated by the family photo with him missing. Martha has abandoned Jonas in this else world, where another version of herself is dating someone else, Killian, which in turn is complete torture for Jonas because all he wants to be is with Martha. And this first sequence seems to be entirely propelled by the distinctive and untamed passion that is constantly being exposed and unleashed by young Jonas, who is now wearing the blood of the world disguised as his heart on his sleeve. The reiteration of the presence of a black hole is apparent as Jonas inserts himself into Martha's science class. The reason this episode is called Deja Vu is because we are reliving events that took place in season 1. So Charlotte Doppler is investigating the disappearance of Eric Opendorf, asking if he had been able to get onto the grounds of the power plant from the underground access. Hannah Conwald is pregnant and approaches Katerina to attempt to make amends, even though Ulrich has left Katerina for Hannah and tension builds between them. Jonas assumes that this other Martha is the same one that brought him here and is slapped in the face by a rude awakening when he realizes that she doesn't even know him. The torture continues when he goes immediately downstairs to discover a mother, Hannah Conwald, who doesn't know him. Jonas is slowly learning of his ability to not exist in a life full of people who don't know him. This is an absolute nightmare. It encourages him to care about his own existence more. The torture increases his need to be needed. So that's an important factor that I noticed there. As Jonas attempts to convince Martha to believe him, he learns that Hannah, his mother, is married to her father, Ulrich, which means that they would be brother and sister, not by blood. Magnus is deep in love with a deaf girl, and Helga Doppler continues to repeat himself while young Charlotte Doppler tries to make sense of his ramblings. Jonas continues to investigate Michael Conwald. He realizes that he doesn't exist and Daniel Conwald was buried a while ago. So far, there seems to be an absence of a loop where Jonas existed in World B. 1987, the young version of the Stranger demands the master key from the power plant and the violent lust in his eyes. Hell-bent on destruction, he wants or needs the apocalypse to occur. Maybe it's absolutely necessary for him to exist, and that was my prediction at the time. The rest of the trio enters, the trio Stranger, and exclaims that there is a price for everything, the everlasting miracle of oneness. And makes me believe that he is trapped to dwell with two other of his selves, so he's trapped to exist with those other versions of himself. He can't leave them. Determined to separate them so that he can become one again instead of three, maybe. He then murders the Keymaster. It seems now that it is called Deja Vu because a lot of the same events are happening, but to different people. Yellow Jacket Martha stumbles upon Jonas at the train tracks, and this Martha is so unaware of the rifts in time. Jonas realizes that the other experienced Martha has left him in this time so that he can change it. No one in the world knows him, so they are all pretty equally unwelcoming to him. That is the true loneliness. That's what true loneliness is. At least you've experienced that firsthand. You feel that through him, realizing that none of the people you thought you had, they don't even know you exist. Jonas arrives at the very house where he had lived in search of some answers. They all run from the cave like season 1, and Martha witnesses someone calling her name in a black oil substance, perhaps just passed through the God particle. The birds fall to the earth, the lights flicker, and Ulrich is cheating on Hannah with Charlotte. So Ulrich is like the cheating guy. He's just cheating all over the place. Yellow Jacket Martha is reunited with Killian and these Elseworld friends, and Jonas realizes that he has been replaced by someone. Out of the fear of bombs, all of the teenagers run for refuge to the bomb shelter where Mads Nielsen slides through a portal. Just as Jonas is feeling empty in a world he cannot save, he meets the old woman. She exclaims that Mikkel won't travel back in time in this world, and so he won't have a father and therefore not exist. Although he was convinced that in order to save everyone, he had to cease his own existence. It seemed that the old woman is Martha, and she exclaims that the two of them have damned both of these worlds to hell. Black Coat Martha travels to 1888 to see old Jonas and exclaims that she isn't Martha, or at least not his Martha. She is there to discover the origin, to discover the beginning of a thread that seems to exist as a cycle. Someone that doesn't have a beginning or an end. At least that is how this whole thing really seems to be unveiling.